would you go down to your flash position, please?
And thus I give to you the light.
Fire!
I do not know of any magazine in the world that spends as many resources on each page as we do. National Geographic magazine is printed in 32 languages and read by more than 35 million people every month. The key is great storytelling with incredibly talented people and telling stories that are relevant in people's lives today and in the future.
National Geographic has a huge legacy as a magazine and also in the history of photography. The founders had a mission to show the world and all that's in it.
In the beginning, it was people coming back from travels, and they would buy the photographs from them and then run them in the magazine. The Geographic started doing some of the first flash photography, some of the first natural history photography, and then over time they started to commission specific works. They certainly got into color early on. They were very forward-thinking in their technology. And to be honest, that continues today.
The field people are really one of our very best sources for great ideas. The people who are out there meeting people, hear the voices of others that maybe aren't expressed in other parts of the media, yet offer great storytelling.
We get proposals from everywhere, all around the world, and we assemble them here in Washington, D.C., where we're headquartered, and take them to Story Review, which is a bi-weekly meeting where we talk about proposals and reject or approve them.
This is really an important story, this broader story of development.
What can we do that's different, that's honest, that's truthful, that brings insight that nobody else will do?
Well, to be honest, when I just read this proposal, I think it's going to be a very difficult story to pull off visually.
We slug it out at that point, and unlike a lot of publications, we have to really think about the visuals.
I'm having trouble seeing the story. I really am. While it could be a very earnest story, it could also be a very boring story. The story mix in an issue of National Geographic magazine is very, very important. We will want a mix of subject matter, from archaeology to natural history to culture to possibly geopolitical to science to paleontology. Those are our basic core areas that we try to deliver every month.
Once we have those stories approved, though, we expect some more work to be done on them, and so the creative people go off and think some more about what the story might look like.
Do we need special equipment? Will we need airplanes? Will we need helicopters? Will we need balloons? That story team would consist of a text editor, a writer, a photographer, a picture editor, a graphics editor, a cartographer, and generally a researcher.
When they're ready, we have a meeting called the pitch.
Who would like to start, Gail?
Yeah, I'll start. This is a story that Travis initiated. It's a story on...
The top editors sit around in a circle, and we get the photographer and the writer in the room, or often they're also just talking to us by telephone.
So, I mean, I think this is a story of survival and culture, and we just have so much potential here.
And we hear about what they have in mind, and we give our views.
Well, let me ask you this, if the Ahabs don't catch a whale, do we have a story?
Well, I think our plan B would be to go back in the spring at the beginning of the season.
Well, we know we're rolling the dice a little bit, but I mean,
That's what's kind of fun.
that's what's fun. Yeah, absolutely. Travis? A typical turnaround for National Geographic story would be about a year. There's a commonality to all successful National Geographic magazine stories. And it starts, most importantly, with the commitment and the passion of the photographer and the writer. Nick Nichols is not just one of the finest natural history photographers who has picked up a camera. He's one of the finest who's ever done it. Nick wanted to take a photograph of a redwoods tree more than 350 feet tall, the tallest trees in the world, from top to bottom.
And what happens if you're going to photograph a tree, this giant tree standing there, from the ground you can only see the bottom third. And you notice this fabulous tree there, but you can't see it. I got really depressed because photographing it is nearly impossible.
To figure out how to do it took a year. So it's one thing to dream and to imagine what the picture is, start to figure out how you might do it, and then find the people and the talent to execute your vision. This story for us would be at least a $200,000 story. And that's with a staff photographer who's paid a salary that's not calculated in that $200,000 figure.
We put a rope between the two trees, and then you got to go out into the middle of that rope and drop another line. So you get more and more unstable, which is what I was afraid of. So the wind's going to blow you, you're going to spin around. Well, we took me out of it. The moment we took me out of the picture, we were able to be more stable. We made it mechanized. We put 3 cameras on a dolly. There's a gyroscope.
Okay, Marty, we're going to drive her up.
She flies.
We drop it slowly down. Ken Geiger, who was there with me, we were driving the cameras with a computer on the ground.
Yeah, sweet.
And all of a sudden, we're making a photograph. We're doing this at dawn, the lights pouring through, the trees glowing.
And you're shooting directly into the tree. You're not looking up at the tree to distort it. You're not looking down at the tree to distort it. You are seeing something that a human being cannot see, but the camera can see. And that is one of the most beautiful examples of photography.
And then Ken spent, I think, 100 hours glued to the computer, gluing it together. I think it's 100 pictures, or 84 is what it ultimately made out of. And we've got a picture it's just stunning. And my hope is, right now this photograph is going to represent redwood trees. It's going to go around the world. Everybody's going to go, wow, look at that tree. But hopefully over time it starts to represent our relationship to the planet, because there's nothing that's more does that than trees.
You know, one of the challenges we face is that the magazine is full of absolutely stunning pictures, and it's beautifully designed. Everything about it compels you to flip through it, see what stunning image and beautiful design is on the next page. So we have to find some way, we word people, to keep at least some of our readers glued to one page for however long it takes them to read 700 words of text. And then to look for the next page of the story. For an ambitious story that might run 4,000 words in the magazine, a writer might travel for 4 or 5 weeks. You know, a writer will easily spend, let's say, 3 months reporting and a month writing.
We have no political agenda. When you tackle controversial subjects such as global climate change, you know from the onset that that story has become politicized. And this is where National Geographic plays an incredibly important role.
Hi, this is Elizabeth Snodgrass. I'm a researcher with National Geographic magazine.
We place an extremely high value on accuracy, trust, deep research, and this is a feedback loop that is really valuable for us, because not only are we trusted by readers, we're trusted by sources.
If a sentence says the black dog barked, we have to make sure it was black, not a dark brown. We have to make sure it was a dog and not a wolf half-breed or something like that. Did it bark, or did it whine, or did it howl? I mean, literally every word has to be parsed out, and we have to be able to stand behind it.
Once the photographers come back, I get to participate in probably the most rewarding part of my job. I get to see the photographs.
With the photographers, there's generally it's a 2-person team of the photographer and the picture editor working together to figure out this story.
I think you do too, and that, because I think we do need to come back with lines.
Well, and
right
I
afterwards.
actually like these two together because of the
Story ranges now are going in between 30 and 40,000 frames per story on average. That's going to eventually get down to a selection shown to the editor of about 50 pictures. Eventually, that will end up being maybe a dozen photographs in the magazine.
We go into a a room, and then the lights go down, and we're transported to that place, those people, those experiences that photographer had.
People who come there now, it's mostly just tourist area now.
Here's this great story in front of me. Where's the lead picture? Where are the narrative threads? Is everything here? Will a photographer go back? I mean, it's not unusual for a photographer who may have to go back, who, for one reason or another, couldn't quite get it all. Next, the team goes into the layout and design section of the magazine, and they start to put the story together. The Fraser Island layout was one where we knew we had the photographs we needed. The lead photograph was very good. It really helped set up the reader for the pictures to come. And then on the turn picture, in this case a dingo walking through a windstorm, you've got more of a surprise. My favorite picture was a landscape taken during a dense rainstorm. The photograph had a painterly quality that I just found appealing and surprising. One of the biggest points of debate was, do we need an aerial photograph that succinctly shows what the place looks like, and also to some degree how it was created as the world's largest sand island?
I'm seeing all these bits and pieces of this island, but I'm not getting a sense of just where am I? Is it an island? We know it in our heads, but a reader coming to this, I'm not sure they're going to get that sense.
So we know we need a map. Maybe that map can show that it's a sand island, and to some degree show how that island was created over hundreds of thousands of years. The layout review's done. Then that story goes up on the wall with all the other stories of the issue. And it may be then we need to tweak some things. We may need to alter the order of stories. Maybe the last picture in the story doesn't work so well as a segue into the next story. We need to reconsider what the last picture may be. And then, of course, we're constantly thinking, as we have been from the moment we started to create that issue, where's the cover?
The cover is always an invitation for a reader to open the magazine and to come into another world. So right now we're looking for a great combination of words and picture. Sometimes it's very hard to find a photograph that can stand up to large topography. So what we're always looking for is a clean image, a simple image, something that conveys something quickly. But the harder part is to come up with the words. How do you get across the essence of the story that's very truthful to the story, but still sounds wonderfully interesting and new and fresh?
Once all of that's done, it's been copy edited, it's been styled, everything's in order. We then send it to the printer. It takes us more than 2 weeks to print the magazine because we have to print approximately 7 million of them in the English language. We at National Geographic Magazine are excited about additional platforms and our ability to reach new audiences in new ways with new, fresh stories. I want to put a camera in places that I've imagined you could never put a camera, to see things I couldn't even imagine, to see things as they are. That kind of technology to capture not just the movement and this mysterious place or this mysterious behavior, but the sounds and all that go with it. To work increasingly in 3D. What I want to do is, in my lifetime, if there's a much better way, and I know there will be, to share the incredible things I've seen, the incredible experiences I've had, so people can come to understand and appreciate and know what an amazing place this world is.